Good morning, everyone. Jeanette Biro here. I'm a medium and a channeler, and welcome to your Wednesday Wisdom with Spirit, where we tune in and see what's in store. So on Wednesdays, I love Wednesdays because this is a time to just fall into mediumship or channeling, which is really such a natural process for me that I love. I love what I do. And so it's so much fun to be able to share that with you with a general message. And so with these general messages, the way that it works is Spirit will give me the most important message in a way that people can pull from it what resonates. So my encouragement to you is really feel into your body, as we talked about yesterday, with what resonates for you. What are you feeling? What are you receiving in the way your body is speaking to you from the messages? All right. So I'm going to tune in. If you're joining me for the first time, I never know if it's going to be mediumship or channeling or who it's going to be. If it's channeling, it's usually one of two guides that come in as a channel. If it's mediumship, it can be anyone from my council. So we're just going to see what it is. So I'm just going to take a moment here and close my eyes, see who's here, and then we'll just carry on. So one moment. Okay, so this is interesting. This is actually from the Three Guides of the Light, who normally I channel, but they're wanting to come through in mediumship because they're wanting to give me a lot of visuals to explain. So first things first, what they're saying right now is there's a very interesting phenomena happening where there's a convergence of timelines. Are we talking timelines or parallel realities? Oh, they're funny. They're like, well, you could see it as one and the same, or you could see it as different. It depends on your perspective. So they're calling it timelines. They're saying timelines, stick with timelines. So in any given moment, we can have a different timeline that changes based on a decision we make. So say I was destined that the highest probability would be that I would go to the coffee shop. I use that example all the time. I would go to the coffee shop at 9 o'clock. Now say at 8:45, I suddenly choose not to go to the coffee shop and delay it and then end up going to a different coffee shop at 10 o'clock instead. That's where there's a change in timeline. So whenever Spirit gives a prediction or a prophecy, they're giving the highest predictable probability in that moment of time. So say at 8:30 in the morning, they would say, yep, the highest probability is by 9 o'clock she'll go to this coffee shop. But when my free will comes in and changes something, then it changes that probability into a different timeline. And so we're constantly moving these different timelines. So that's on a very individual scale. That's just a normal ebb and flow of our lives and how conscious choice can really affect our reality. Now, the way that they are explaining this, though, is we're looking at two macro versions of timelines. So I just explained a micro version of one individual human, okay? But then we have macro versions of humanity. So we have one timeline pushing in this way and another one kind of pushing in this way. And what's happening is right now it's creating this kind of push-pull compression type energy. But what's going to happen, they're showing me, say it was like this, these two, they're actually going to overlap. I don't know how to do the overlap, kind of like this. There we go. They're actually going to overlap and merge in many different ways. So what they're getting at is for many of you, it's going to create one of these sorts of things. First thing is you will find some of the things that you were working on in one direction maybe a couple weeks ago that then suddenly seem to fall away from you, and you're like, that looked like it was going somewhere and then it totally fell apart. Okay, fine. And so you reroute and you work on something else. That piece might come in and land with momentum forward. And so something that you let go because you thought it wasn't working, a project, a plan, an idea, a trip or something, may suddenly come right back in and be set and in motion. That's one thing. Another thing is things that you feel like you've been struggling to even manifest or plan or something suddenly show up in motion. So they weren't even tangible ideas or things that were already being created in meetings and drawing boards. Like these were just musings of the mind before they became a kind of a manifestation, suddenly fall on your path in manifestation. So we have these two kind of diversions that are happening. Another thing that's happening is your intuition may be feeling like it's not right. And Spirit's saying that's not the case. It's not that your intuition is not right. It's you're tuning into the highest probability, which is also changing based on this kind of these two things merging together. Now, what they're saying is with this merge, there's they're saying a beautiful opportunity for synchronistic bliss. And what they mean by that is when, there's something we're trying to manifest and we try all the ways in which, and then the way in which it actually happens, it's only in retrospect after it's happened that we're like, I could have never, ever in my life imagined it would come together in that way, yet it did. Like you couldn't have even created it or come up with it. It's just so far out there. That's what they're talking about. There's a high probability and possibility for these beautiful synchronistic bliss moments. So something to look out for with that. Another thing they're saying too, in connection to this kind of intuitive thing, like not being wrong about your intuitions, is they're saying check in daily or even like twice a day into your intuitive hit on things and just notice what you get. It's not about being right or wrong. Just notice when you think that intuitive hit has changed and what about it has changed, because then you'll be able to kind of stay up to date on how it goes. But if we're tuning in every millisecond, we're going to be all over the map. And they're showing me now the image of like the stock market, in a given day. So in the morning, you could check the stock market and say it's like here. And then in the evening, you check and it's here. So overall, sometimes they're talking and I'm talking and it doesn't come out right. Overall, the market went up the line, okay? But if you were to check in every moment, you would be going along for this crazy roller coaster ride of it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. They're like, don't worry about those pieces, but check in kind of like mid-morning when you wake up maybe, and then evening. And just see what you notice in that and then look at the overall progression. Because when we can do that, we can become more in tune with the changes happening on Earth, but without getting swamped or totally overwhelmed by them. Because there's so many changes happening. Plus this push of these two timelines converging is this big kind of compression energy, but one that is giving way to some really neat alignments. Really neat alignments. So what that tells me too is many of you are going to start to see this beautiful synergistic alignment of things in ways you could have never imagined. So that's really interesting. So I'm curious to see how that plays out the next little while. So if you've noticed any events like that for yourself, definitely share in the comments if you so feel. And just be aware. And again, your body is that interface. I really want to say that again. So see how that comes through. I just want to see if there's anything else I wanted to say. They're saying we're giving you this information to help you move through it with more ease and grace. Again, they really realize that humanity is at a point now that it's actually more beneficial when we're in the know versus the lessons of, maybe 5 years ago when it was so beneficial for us to find the learning through tough love, not tough love, but like having to discover or maneuver our own path. Now a lot of humanity is in a position where they understand co-creation, and so these bits of information to give us a heads up is really valuable. So anyway, I will leave you with that. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and I still look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Please do subscribe, share, and like, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.